matter of fact, please slit your belly by tomorrow. End of business day. Shit's sad, man. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, KGeekXX Chic, and we are here with the season finale. Hopefully season, although, I mean, I've heard that there's only going to be one season, but either way, we're at the end of our journey with Shogun. We're now into episode 10, which is called A Dream of a Dream. So this has been a heck of a ride. This has been an amazing show. I gotta say, 2024 has been bringing it with some really well-written, well-directed, beautifully shot shows, and this is definitely at the top of the list. I want the show to be awarded, if nothing else, to the last episode. The last episode being Crimson Sky. Quick recap on that one. It was Medeko's episode. We saw her go to Osaka with a mission that she was sent on by Toranaga, but also I think her own little personal mission. You know, all this time she's been wanting to put more meaning to her life, and if it came to that, meaning to her death. And she got the opportunity to do that by trying to get Toranaga's hostages out of Osaka, but really it was to throw a gauntlet down for Ishido and the rest of the regions. They were playing a game of lies and subterfuge, and because of what Medeko did, their game was exposed to everyone. All the Highborn realized that if they didn't, if Medeko basically put them in a position where they'd either absolutely lose the trust of all the Highborns or potentially show that they're weaker than Toranaga and give up their position that way. So either way, Mariko played her part well. She got a chance to stand up for herself, stand up for her family name that's been besmirched for so long. And she even got a chance to finally help John see what it is that she was trying to do. Even though John didn't really necessarily like what she was doing and he didn't agree with it, he in the end did respect her and respect the decision that she made. And we see that they even got a chance to be together, albeit very quickly before everything went south. And we see that the end of the episode was an attempt on taking the lives of the hostages. We see that Ishido came in with a sneaky plan, which I knew that he did. As soon as he gave Mariko the walking papers for her to leave Osaka, I knew he was up to something and that he didn't plan on letting her or the hostages leave alive. And we see that it got messy. We lost quite a few people. And Yabashige is, of course, in the mix because he's trying to maintain his innocence as a double agent. But things didn't quite go his way either because he ended up getting trapped in a room where they were going to get burned out, basically. But then we see that Mariko made the ultimate sacrifice. She said, you know what? I had to come here for a reason. There was a reason that I'm here. And if this is the way I'm going to go, then this is the way I'm going to go. So we lost her at the end. Devastating because she was such a great character. Anna Sawai. I said it all in the review for the last episode. She was amazing. And I definitely will miss her character. And hopefully this episode will show that her death, along with Hiramatsu's and, well, I guess Toranaga's son by extension, it'd be great to see that all these deaths that have happened are not going to be in vain. So yeah, Crimson Sky was the beginning of all of this. And now I expect to see the fruition of it come in this episode. So I'm looking forward to jumping in. But just before I do, just a reminder that if you'd like to be notified of when I do uploads, I know this is the last one for this particular show, but I do a lot of other great things here on my channel. So please do join the fam and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're in the know. And please do show love and please keep those comments coming. You guys are awesome with engagement and just letting me know what you're thinking. So, all right, that out of the way, guys, let's get into the episode right now. Is this a flash forward?
Because grandfather used it to fight off a whole army of Japanese assassins.
Grandpa's just trying to take a nap. Okay, this looks Western. Oh, is this Mr. Blackthorn? So we've jumped forward a lot.
Was it really given to you by a savage?
We're still back to this? Okay, so now we're going to see it, I guess, from John's point of view? What went down? Yeah, she took that full on, bro. Like, full on.
Heavenly Father, we commit to you your loyal.
She would have wanted a prayer, actually. Thank you, John. Anyway, I have a feeling she wasn't supposed to die, though, so that's not going to go according to plan for Yabashige. It's so hard to tell, though, because the assassins did go to her room, so But why did they go away? I guess because I was about to say, why didn't the ninjas come in and finish the job? But now I realize because of the noise, people would show up. So, oh, things are about to get messy. And John's mad. I just need you to keep your head fairly level, John. Be pissed. Have that revenge ready to go, but I need you to be focused. That's all I ask, please. We can't have any slip-ups now. Oh, so peaceful. Who's taking a little dip here? Is this my man Toranaga? We know he likes to swim. It is. Literally a penny for whatever's going through this man's mind at any given time. I would love to know. I feel like that's the one thing this show could have given us more of is Toranaga's inner dialogue, since he didn't talk to anyone. These the hostage family is leaving now? It absolutely was. Period. Oh, what does it matter now? Okay, you'll see. I didn't know how to walk on my knees like that. Damn. Sure, sure. Are you? Doesn't sound like it. Exactly. Shame every last one of them. Shame them. Oh, shut up, Ishido. You're really not. That was still her best friend, sir. You don't know the nature of their relationship at all. Shut your teeth. Oh, look how quickly we fold. Do y'all see the little... Okay. She literally has that man by his short and curlies. Yeah, see how God isn't a man? God's mad at you. That's for Mariko. Have Asaka fall into the sea right now. Look, he's like, actually, I think God is mad at me. You sure? Is it? Because it sounds like that guy's really reconsidering. Yabashige, please just go anywhere but in my sight. Just, please. I don't care. Did you? Sure, sure. Tell yourself that. Not history repeating itself? Was it? You don't see the similarities? Yeah, I don't think he's okay. Yeah, he's done. Aren't there? Good. I hope he lost his mind. It's what you deserve. Does he look fit to lead an army right now to you? You see how it's all falling apart, sir? Keep going, though. Full speed ahead. Wow, now that's a shot. Wow. This is like right back to episode 1. Oh, back to old John.
And we die.
So did John end up going back to England? Back to his wife? I feel like he wouldn't have wanted to miss that, but he probably wouldn't have done well there either. So I don't know. You need that many men for an injured person? Okay.
You have been permitted to return to Toranaga-sama's galley.
You speak Portuguese?
Where is Yabushige-sama?
He is preparing the galley in Osaka Bay. I have come to bring you to him.
Interesting. I don't think Tsuji actually had a direct issue with him, though.
The Lady Ochiba has pledged her son's support. Toranaga will be dead in weeks.
Then you don't know.
Right?
She, Toranaga. Before she died, I spoke before. God. Just God. Do you think it was acceptable?
Rest assured, she was already sanctified.
Yep, she did her.
Before her death, she came to me and received
Yeah,
absolution.
she did what she needed to do to feel at peace. Although she would have appreciated your prayer, I'm sure. At least the sentiment behind
I
it.
think it would have pleased her to see us being civil.
It would have, actually.
You were meant to die in these woods,
Meant.
but an arrangement was made.
By.
You will leave Osaka alive. You will just have to trust me.
Yeah, like, bro, if he really wanted you gone, he probably wouldn't even taken you this far into the woods. Tsuji's probably the one person that's been generally civil to you despite everything the whole time. I will give him that.
It was Lady Maria.
Did she save you? Beyond the grave?
She asked the church to spare your life before she died.
Damn, that woman loved you. All right, John, take the rage. Bottle it, channel it. You know who to take out. That's okay. Go ahead and mourn. It's exactly how we felt last week, bro. It's raining. See, even the sky is crying. Whose child are you, sir? I really want to know who his daddy is.
何のことさカレーかな
Not you writing Madoko's poetry.
枝には実がなる花も咲くの
All right. I like it. A little less depressing.
風なお吹きて
Another line from
花は
Madako.
花なれ
It's good to see Ochoba wasn't happy about that. I don't think she wanted it to turn out this. We know that. Like last episode, she was trying to convince Madako not to do this, but they both have the reasons that they're doing what they're doing. Together? This is your home, bro.
England.
Yeah, he's like, I can't say it. Whatever. No, there's no running away for you. Sir, please put your clothes back on. Yabashige, you know you can run to the ends of the earth. You are never going to run away from your conscience, sir. Glad at least there's one of those in there. Is that your ship, sir? Well, guess you're gonna have to see if those people on the black ship will take you out. Maybe apologize for all those insults you threw at those Catholics. See if they'll let you catch a ride. No? Okay. You're under arrest.
藪重殿、
Mm-hmm.
刀をお渡しいただくように申し付かっております。
He doesn't even have them on, does he?
この者たちは我らが主君、
Mm-hmm.
虎長様の配下でございます。拙者に命じられたのも虎長様でございます。
Mm-hmm. Oh, Yabashige, you really, after all this time, don't realize that Toranaga had your number from day one? You think he didn't know that you betrayed him?
Enemies. Christians did this.
I don't think so. I somehow think Toranaga did that.
キリシタンに手を貸した者が見つかるまでこの村の者たちは誰も安らうことができません。虎長様がそのように命じられました。
Damn, okay. Wow. 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 Whew, we're starting to see the other side of Toranaga. Wow, this is really a throwback to episode 1. In so many ways.
あの世、賊を屋敷に招き入れる措置の姿が見
Yup.
られておったこともな。
Yup. Mm.
措置とともに土蔵の中におった次女の一人が近江殿に知らせてよこしたのじゃ。
Mm-hmm.
マリコ様が亡くなった後、介護の念にかられ許しを請うておられたとか。
Yep. You did do that.
これは虎長様のお耳に入れねばと思うたし。
Okay, Omi.
措置は襲撃を手引きしたのか。
I mean, we already know the answer, but let's see what you have to say.
いたしました。
Good man.
明日の日没までに腹を切ってもらう。
So, matter of fact, please let your belly by tomorrow. Business, end of business day.
それであればよきをお与えください。
Give you a what?
どうか。
良き案じゃが、わ 私は措置を信じて。
Exactly, me neither.
明日の日没までに
Please come in. I'm sorry, the sentence isn't funny, but it is.
近江に跡目を継がせることをお許しくだされ。
頼むのは勝手じゃが、伊豆はもはや
Right? I'm also about to say you have nothing to give to him. Remember? You've been stripped of everything.
犯人なのか。
He's like, just so you know, I'm not very good. Oh,
ならば、
Omi?
共にお願いできますれば、
Oh,
今日地獄に存じまする。
承知した。
fair enough.
しからば明日。
I'm sorry. I'm still tripping over. Please commit seppuku by tomorrow. End of business day. Letter on my desk. Thanks. Can't. And the fact that he did that gambit of how he got all the way to this point. You know he's been wanting to cut that man's head off since like episode 2. Is this Fuji? We haven't seen her in so long. It is. Oh, that's where Mariko would have been.
通じいない。
Nope, not anymore. Aw, your baby boy. Another one. I wonder how many kids this man has.
長門様でございました。私たちはまだ悲しみに暮れております。
So that wasn't her son?
大勢おるわ。
Damn! I mean, it's true, but damn! I mean, I know he didn't really like that kid much, but geez. Could at least pretended.
私どもが大坂城を出立する朝、落ち葉の方から内密にお預かり申した文でございます。
読んだのか。
ひどい勘繰りでございます。
If he asks, it's because he already knows. Is it the poem? Do we get to know what it says? I guess not. I want to know.
ことのはちりて焚き火かな。
あまりに美しゅうて、殿がお読みになられた。
Damn, you ain't gotta read him like that. I think he knows, but jeez.
マリコ殿の歌じゃ。なんと見事な焚き火を。
She did make a hell of a bonfire. She absolutely did. So many losses, bro. You have to win this thing, sir. You have to win this thing.
葬らねばならぬのですが、手元に置いておきとうございまして、どうすればよいかわからないのです。
Do it when you're ready.
私はおいとまをいただきます。
Yeah, I guess her time is up.
虎長様から尼になるお許しが出ましたので。
Fair.
私命じる
Oh,
誠実。
お言葉ではございますが、
Toranaga is my boss.
虎長様にお仕えするお役目は果たしました。
It's not about you, John, to be fair. She just needs to be on her own.
藤様。いい。尼。
精進いたしまする。
He's learned. He would have fought more in the past. I'm really proud of John there. I understand why he didn't want her to leave, but I like that he just, when he recognized that it was not his choice, he just backed off. He's grown a lot since episode 1. Oh, his house is so lonely now. Lost his groundskeeper, his translator, now his consort's gone. He's literally just him. John can't cook. God, that would be so cold on your butt. Oh. Is my man meditating? Because he really has gotten into Eastern philosophy if he's now into meditating. Good on him if he is. Can we be civil now, guys? Can we, please?
刀と鉄砲を渡せ。
Okay, good. Didn't expect that, did you? You thought he was going to fight you. John's grown. Bye. Thanks, Suji. I'm glad at least you'll be safe. Can't handle losing all the badass women in this show. I find it so funny that Toranaga's spy, his body language is always so shrunken and quiet, knowing that he's actually a former samurai.
殿はこの通じ役ただの漁師には手に負えま
I
せん。
think he's got it.
アンジはまだ知らんのか。
I was born 殿本明直 in the Azuchi prefecture. I am samurai.
Yep. Look at him standing straight now.
Years ago, my lord ordered me to convert to the religion of the Portuguese. So I took the name Muraj and moved here.
Well, at least you're not Catholic.
Maybe a little.
I am a Christian. And also, I am Tonomoto Akino.
Yeah, you can be both.
殿の弟君に降伏したい。無礼を尽くしたことをお詫び申し上げまする。
Okay.
望みなくした人いる。でも、網代の人忠実。
Look at him standing up for a village of people that don't even know him.
わしの村の窮状に気を病んでおるのじゃ。
Because he's grown to care about them.
船を燃やしたのは安仁殿の敵ではないと申しております。
It was Mariko-sama. She hated my war against the Catholics.
マリコ殿は安仁殿が、
So she made an arrangement in Osaka
Oh, that's the trade. I get it now.
to trade my survival.
Got it.
この戦はいかがいたすつもりじゃ。
Is it his war anymore?
I don't need it anymore.
こやつの頼みは聞けぬ。
Damn.
我が所領でのうのうと息をしておるというのに、ただ手をこまねえておられようか。
All right.
己が死ねば、わしが謀反人探しをやめるとでも思っておるのか。
He's hoping.
I came here to use you. To use you!
Sir, this is still his mountain. Lower your voice.
I fed you shit. I fed you shit.
You think he didn't know that? But okay, keep going. Again, you yelling on my mountain when there's earthquakes and stuff? Whole landslides happen in this country. Mariko's words.
吉虎長によるこの村への無慈悲な処罰
He
に
said I know enough to say that. I think you're supposed to do your belly, but okay. He said, not on my watch.
気が済んだのであれば、
If you're finally done.
あの船を立て直し、
Right?
わしのために水軍を作るがよい。
We got a job for you. Thanks for proving your loyalty. He just needed to know that your heart was in the game, sir. Everything you just said was not shit that he didn't already know. Sorry, Tornok is such a badass.
わしは息子に恵まれなんだが、お主のことを息子のように思っておった。
I think it's pretty clear he liked you a lot.
わしの自世の句を
My death poem. Damn. You're fortunate. You could have been boiled. At least Tornaga's gonna make it quick-ish. I was gonna say not a will, but I realize he's got nothing to will away. Damn. Anyway.
楽な埋めるなのみさらせ。
Is this
飢えたる
poetry?
犬の腹を満たせよ。
見事な句であろう。
Feels a bit like a statement. How many pockets are in these
わしの意
kimonos?
志じゃ。
Oh, he did do a will after all. Okay. Well, I guess he still has a few possessions. I mean, it's a very stoic setting if you gotta go. That much was nice.
できれば拙者も生き延びて見とうございましたぞ。
See what?
殿の計りごとがどのようなものであれ、うまく
You could have.
船を燃やしてキリシタンどもを海で打ち負かすところも、この先見たいことがあまたありました。
Yeah. Well,
壊さねばならなかったのじゃ。
hmm.
見張りの者どもに火薬を撒くよう命ずるのはそう難しいことではなく、
Knew it!
マリコ殿が教会に話をつけ、わしは同意した。
I knew it.
殿が船を燃やし
Hell yes, he did. I said that from the get-go.
やむを得ずの小細工よ。安心を試すためのな。
Yep. Didn't I say it was a test?
種明かしをするやもし。
I don't know if it would help him
そ
any.
の頃にはあやつは船を立て直しておるであろう
Hmm.
が、わしはそれをまた壊さねばならぬであろう。
Sir, you said you're never leaving.
一生日の本から出られぬ宿命であろうな。
We'll see. That's up to him.
ましょうか。殿はすべての風を己の方針
Shape
のまに
the
操っておる
wind. It's not quite that simple.
わしは風を操った。
Yeah. He just knows how to adjust to it
読んだだけ
quickly.
じゃ。
Yep. See?
されどどのようにして勝つおつもりですか。今や殿の軍は多勢に無勢。
How does one?
ここで皇帝でございまするか。せめて拙者が死ぬ前に教えてくだされ。
I don't really owe that to you.
そなただけは目の前でなされている。
He's not a long game thinker.
皇天はすでに終わっておる。
It's done.
大坂に軍を送るなどもってのほか、それはすなわち死を意味する。
Period.
そこでわしは女子を一人送
What a
り、
man could not.
軍勢にもできぬことをさせたのじゃ。
He still doesn't get it. You have to spell it out.
我らは関ヶ原にて敵と対峙いたす。
That's a lot of men.
次の軍が石堂側につけば、わしの軍勢に勝ち目はない。
I'm sorry, Toranaga's gear is superior. I don't know what Ishido's wearing. I'm just not down.
殿の屋外のおかげで、落ち葉の方は石堂との盟約に意欲
Uh-huh.
をし、
That's my smart woman.
その日石堂には掲げる御旗がない。
How embarrassing.
大老衆は刀すら抜く前に石堂に背を向ける。わしの新たな県政の要である江戸から始める。築き上げるは戦のない太平の世じゃ。
A shogun? Shall we?
あやつを殺してしまおうと思ったことは何度もあったが思いとどまった。あやつに値打ちがあるからではない。安住がおらずともわしの軍は生き延びておった。
True. But you gotta like that guy.
あやつはわしを笑わせおるし、
You can't live for war, you know? There gotta be a few things.
安住と初めて会った時、あやつが何と申したか覚えておるか。わしが戦うても望みはないゆえやめておけ。
Unless we win.
己が勝てば望みはある。
すべて思いのままに。
True. The victors decide the fate.
将軍の小さいも
You catching on?
胸の奥に秘めたお心は殿も他の者と
I
さ
don't
ほど
think he
変わ
ever
る。
claimed to be.
本当のことを語ってくだされ。墓場まで持ってまいりまするゆえ。
Shouldn't you be disemboweled by now?
死人に先々の話をして何とする。
He said the exact same words. Oh my god, that spy is good. He's like, don't worry, I won't take 19 hacks this time. You ready there, buddy? Damn, okay, that's the way to do it, I guess, if you're going to. Just make it quick. Not the smile. One stroke. Oh, at least you have to fall into the sea. Bye, Abishige.
I've always been of the mind that a soul committed to the deep is a soul who,
Ah,
in some way,
letting her let go.
わかりましたか?
Because I don't think she can bring it to the convent. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna, I think if it's like most convents, you're not allowed to bring any of your worldly possessions with you, including things like this, because you're supposed to release everything to God. So at least this way it's on her own terms. I think it's really sweet that he's holding her hand to do it. Is that her baby? Oh, sad. He didn't have the heart to throw that away, though. I don't blame you.
最後に触れるのは安心様の手にいたしましょう。
Oh, that's what she said to Fuji, or that's what she said to Fuji about her son. Oh, he did. So what is he holding on to in the future? I guess he just got another one. Shit's sad, man.
しばし休まれよ。
Hey, Bentaro. How's it going? Totally didn't sleep with your wife before she died.
Yes, this is wonderful.
Raise the ropes! Right, you miserable, sniveling, festering shitrags!
Huh? I don't think you need to do. Yeah, nope, yeah, we don't have to. Yeah, it's like, let's not. I don't think the European humor is going to translate. All of that for Bentaro to finally come around. That is so different because the praise thing is definitely not very common in their culture. I kind of like that this beef between John and Buntaro is just squashed. Now that Mariko is gone, sadly, but I'm glad that it's just like, let's just silently work together. Yeah, exactly. You're figuring it out slowly, John? What was he holding in his hand? That looked like a rosary. You're really ending it there? You've got to be kidding me. Is that it? Let me just see. It really is. Okay, guys. You know what? I'm not mad about it because I have a sneaking suspicion. Wait, hold on. I'm not mad at it, guys, because that kind of ending is open. That means we might be getting a season 2. Which just makes me very happy because I know when they first announced this, they said it was going to be limited and they were only planning on doing 1, but we haven't gotten to the battle yet. I have not read the book, so I don't know if the books actually entail the battle part of it, but if there is a battle, then that says to me that we're getting a season 2, and I'm actually 1000% down for that. And the fact that we have we had that flash forward of John, how did he get back home, right? What actually happened? How did he get back home? There's so many questions, but okay. Overall though, guys, that is for the entire series. I really like this episode. I think a lot of people were expecting, myself included, a little bit more in the way of action, but the fact that we really didn't have any is crazy, but also really smart. As I said, if they're setting the groundwork for a season 2, this is the perfect way to end it. Even if they don't, my imagination can go wild with what might go down, like what they just gave us of the foreshadowing of what will happen that Toranaga gave us there talking to Yabashige. That's enough. My imagination can go wild, personally. But I would still love to see it. So if we do get a season 2, I don't see why not, because I think this is probably FX's biggest and most successful show to date. So yeah, I can't see them not being like literally on their knees begging Sanada to come back and do season 2. But anyhow, this episode, let's talk about it before we just kind of give the overall show my rating. We can first let's talk about Yabashige, actually. RIP, bro, but I don't feel that sad that you're gone. I did like his character a lot. I want to preface and start out by saying I really liked Yabashige. The actor who played him absolutely slayed it. He was funny, both intentionally and unintentionally. He was very believable. He was an absolutely necessary piece of the puzzle. And while, like I said, I have no qualms about him dying, because personally, I feel like I said from the beginning, if you're someone who tries to play both sides, you're going to get shot from both, or you're going to end up gone either way. No one who does that type of trying to snake around, especially during a war, there's no way you can succeed. Because like I said, even if somehow he'd stayed in Osaka beside Ishido would have taken him out eventually, because you can't trust somebody who flips sides as much as Yabashige did, right? That's not a man that you want by your side for the long term. So either way, Yabashige made his bed a long time ago. God, I didn't even know he was married. Did you know that? I was like, he said, find my wife a husband. I was like, you have a wife? We've never seen her. But anyway, his character, I thought it was very interesting that at the end, we see that he effectively snapped, right? Like seeing Mariko die like that, being very close to losing his own life in that situation, but seeing her die like that, you know, going through that experience, you see he really just wasn't okay. And Ishido saw that too. Another reason Ishido would not have kept him around. It broke him, because I think it's not that Yabashige is against doing crazy things, but there was no way, after seeing everything that Mariko did, particularly in the last episode, but again, he's been around Mariko for years, there's no way you could see how that woman carried herself, especially right up until her final moments, and not be shook by what she did. Yabashige knew that he would never have that level of courage in his entire lifetime, possibly in the next either. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to have enough respect for Mariko, and seeing the way what she was willing to do, not even so much in just willing to to sacrifice her life, but just the sheer loyalty and determination and clarity of vision that she had about what she was, who she was, and what she stood for. You can't see someone like that go like that and not be shaken to your core, especially Yabashige, who we saw back in episode 1 was ready to disembowel himself at the idea of drowning, right? Like, you know that he really he never expected. And we saw that later on, like when he was talking to Ishido and he's like, I thought we'd take her as hostage. Like, I didn't think, you know, it was just all hitting him, how twisted, how messy this was getting, and how so many people were dying who didn't necessarily need to die, or he felt maybe shouldn't have died. And so I really thought that was an interesting turn for his character. Again, I don't think he took any pleasure in anyone that had to die that day, but that really shook him. Someone like Mariko, who I think in his mind was really like quite elevated, even though he probably would have never admitted it, it shook him. deeply. And then seeing that after that, he had to go back. It's like he just didn't even figure that. I'm sorry, I just have to laugh because I just always wonder, like, Yabashige really just does not see past the moment, right? That man definitely lives in the present. He has absolutely no ability to just see the bigger scope of things or to look at past experiences and put things together, because even John figured out that Toranaga has got plans within plans within plans. And the fact that Yabashige came back, went back to the village and actually thought that Toranaga would not have known what he did. That man knew about the engine before anybody else did. That man knew about everything that you were doing. That man knew all the stuff you were saying about you. He knew the fact that you were looking for a spot. He's known every step you were going to take before you took it, bro. And you really thought he didn't know that you turned on him in Osaka? You really thought going back he wasn't going to capture your ass? I mean, again, I know he was a bit out of his mind going back, but I mean, clearly he was, because he did say he wanted. He was like, John, please take me on your ship and take me out of Japan. My guy was like, I don't even speak whatever you speaking, but take me away. So I think he knew something bad was going to eventually happen. But I also think that that was just desperation for him to get out of this whole war situation. At that point, I think he realized it was crazier than even he was ready to handle. But seriously, I know he didn't think that Toranaga would be up to speed on what he did in Osaka already. And he should have known. As I said before, he spied on him since day one. Of all people, Yabashige should have known and told Ishido, like, I can't go back there. If I go back to Toranaga at this point, he will kill me, right? But anyways, at that point, Ishido was done with him. But yeah, coming back, having him come back, and I felt for Omi, because you know he really loves his uncle, but having to be the one to arrest him and also know that his uncle had done this. And then the thing is, Omi knew that his uncle did it, right? After he knows how his uncle operates, so he wasn't at all surprised, but I think he was saddened because, Yabashige was a snake. He was annoying at times, but I was going to say he wasn't cruel, but he did boil a man to death. So never mind. I take it back. He was cruel, but not in the sense, I guess, that most of us think of, right? It's not like he went out of his way to just hurt people all the time per se. Doesn't excuse what he did to that sailor. But yeah, I get, my point is, him and Omi clearly had a good relationship. And so I get why Omi was a bit broken up about having to be the one to do that. But it is what it is. It's war. And you got to pick a side. You can't be vacillating. You can't be going back and forth. And I know that Yabashige took Ishido's offer because he was trying to save himself. But that is what comes back to Maruko's speech, where she said that loyalty is loyalty because you stick it out no matter what, even when it gets scary, even when things like your life are in question. Like, that's the whole point of loyalty. It should be tested to the point of death. And Yabashige never had that, right? He didn't have that to anybody but himself. I mean, yeah, he might have died in Osaka if he hadn't, but at least he would have, had something firm to go out on, right? But anyways, in the end, Yabashige always wanted to save his skin. And I think even right down to his last moments, he accepted that about himself. So I'll give him that. I don't think Yabashige ever thought more of himself than what he really was. That much I will give him. But anyhow, seeing how, Toranaga, and I just love the way that Toranaga's mind works, you guys. I love the way this man's mind works. It's so hot. Again, not the most human. He's not a humanitarian. He is not the most ethical or moral man at all. However, you cannot deny that the man's strategic brain is crazy. But anyhow, the fact that all of this, like I said, I know Toranaga wanted to take Yabashige's head off the second that he found out about the ship and the fact that Yabashige was planning on keeping it. But he knew that Yabashige had a role to play. And the fact that Yabashige didn't even realize that his betrayal in Osaka to Ishido was something that Toranaga had already accounted for and bet on him doing. Like, he played his part right up to the end, not even realizing he was playing the part. Realizing, sitting on that rock looking out on the beautiful sea, that Toranaga's like, boy, I was pulling your strings. Even when you thought you would somehow cut your strings, I still had him on there. You just didn't see him no more. It was crazy. But yeah, I love that conversation that they had at the cliffside. Again, I said, I just had to love, Yabashige's about to walk to his death, which, sorry, we gotta take a minute to just appreciate Toranaga talking about taking this man out, talking about this man's death like you talk about lunch tomorrow, like you're making lunch plans with a coworker. Man, just like, yeah, so since you did betray me and, you totally did that on purpose, I'm going to need you to commit seppuku by about noon tomorrow. If that's great. All right, we'll meet you all by the cliffside. No, you can't have him as your second, not the engine. Anyone now? Oh, okay, me? Sure, great. I'll meet you there, 11:55. See ya. Just so matter of factly. And then when Yabashige shows up, he's just sitting there in his little chair, peacefully looking out at the ocean. I'm just like, damn, Toranaga. Yabashige really forgot this man's been a warlord since he was 12. He really forgot this man, his innocence ended before he hit puberty. He is not one to be played with. He's not one to be played with. But anyhow, they have their little cliffside conversation and Yabashige is like, listen, I'm not a visionary. I don't have the gift of strategy like you. Please lay it out for me like I'm 5. How is this going to work? Like, I still don't see how you can win. Like, the decisions that I made were based on what I can see, which is that it's still 4 armies against you. You're outnumbered. You don't have your ship anymore now. Like, there's so many things that are not your way. Like, how do you think you can win? How did I make the wrong call? How does this turn out? And he's like, please explain it to me. Because like, since I don't get to live long enough to see it. And I love that he put that out there, right? Oh, I won't get to see my nephew take his first battle. I won't get to see what happens with the engine. I won't get to see all these things now. It's like, yeah, bro, well, you made a decision. You chose that. When you chose not to be loyal, you effectively made the decision that you were never going to see those things. I mean, there was a very good chance he wasn't going to live that long anyway, but anyhow, he asks for the explanation and, Toranaga decides to humor him because, he's not going to be able to take it anywhere. And he tells him, he's like, yeah, well, he's like, all these things, I've already accounted for them. And he's like, I can't see how you don't see it. And I love that. This is what happens with people who are really smart about certain things. Like, it's so hard for them to break it down because they feel like everybody can see it. Right? And Toranaga's like, how can you not see? How can you not see this? It's so clear. Not even now. And he's like, no. But anyhow, he breaks it down and he basically is like, look, those guys are united at the moment, which I expected. And he's like, yeah, if I was to go up to Osaka with the 4 of them united, there's absolutely no way I'd win. Of course I'd die. Everyone would die. There's no way that was going to work. He's like, I had to change things. I needed something to break that unity once and for all. I need to have, my divisions put in this regency. It's the only way that I could do it. As he said, Crimson Sky, you thought Crimson Sky was us going in and attacking everybody? He's like, yeah, that's what I communicated. But you should have known I would never just blurt out my plans like that to everybody. What? He's like, no, Crimson Sky already happened. That was before. That was my girl Mariko. He's like, I sent a woman to do what an army could not. I love that line so much, by the way. But yeah, he's like, she went in there and did exactly what I needed her to do. She shook things up. She shook the faith in the Regency in Ishido. She shook up all the noble houses that were there. She freed all the hostages, basically giving the regents the opportunity to think for themselves, which we saw later on when the Regency was meeting about this whole situation. So he's like, yeah, she did everything I needed her to do. She went in and did exactly what I needed her to do. So he's like, I got my little letter from Ochiba telling me that, yeah, so anyways, Ishido, he's a loser. And I need you to, yeah, like, can I get in with your camp? Can I slide in with you? Can I slide in with you? Right? And I remember I said this a couple episodes ago that I actually think that Ochiba, it didn't work out exactly the way that I thought, but I thought maybe Ochiba, the reason that she was going so hard against Toranaga is because she actually did want to side with him at some point, but she wanted to make sure she had a position of power in order to negotiate that. And I feel like to a degree, that's exactly what happened. But now, again, we know she didn't want to marry Ishido anyway. But now she figured out, sitting at that Regency meeting, she was like, oh my God, Toranaga has messed all you guys up again after how many times I tried to set you up for sort of this wouldn't happen. And that's when she realized, oh, hell no, we're not going to win again. There's no way I'm winning with any of y'all. And I didn't want to marry this boy's ass anyway. So she said, let me go ahead and side with the winning team. At least she has some leverage at this point because she has the heir's army, right? So right now, Ishido, like he said, Ishido's going to march into battle and he's going to think he's got the heir's army and the banner behind him. And he's going to find out at the last minute that ain't going to be the case. And then once the other regions realize that the heir ain't behind him, and it's going to affect how they're seen as regions, they're going to be like, whoa, we didn't even want this damn war anyways. Remember Mr. I'm scared of earthquakes? He's like, God already told me not to do this war. So he's like, yeah, it's all going to fall apart. It's just going to be Ishido and whoever follows him, which is going to be a very small army, and I will take him down. And he's like, in the meantime, I've got the engine here who is building my ships and building myself into a position where I'm never going to have this problem again, right? Thanks to him, he's going to build me ships. He's going to get my navy set up and powerful and more powerful than anything else on the island. So yeah, I had to make sure he stayed here. And he said everything that happened with the engine, this was all a test. And him explaining the fact that, yeah, Mariko was, she did trade the boat for the engine, but it was my decision. She didn't come up with that. I came up with that because I realized it was a trade later in the episode. But remember I said from the get-go when I saw it sunk, I'm like, that was Toranaga. There's no way someone would come in and burn that ship on Toranaga's watch. No way. So now we found out exactly how that happened. He's like, okay, Mariko, part of the plan is you're going to make this arrangement to make sure we get the people off of the engines back because there's no way he's making it out of Sokka alive if we don't do something. So we'll take out the ship. Of course, it's going to make the Christians feel better to some degree. But more importantly, it takes this dream, this little pipe dream that's in the back of John's head of going back home off the table and gets him working for me and doing what I need him to do wholeheartedly. Because we know that all through the first, 6 episodes, John was back and forth. And when do I get my ship? When do I get to leave? How am I going to leave? When am I going to leave? And Toranaga was getting tired of it, but he also realized that that was John's heart. That's where John's heart was. He wasn't fully with Toranaga's mission, this war. And truthfully, none of it really is John's business. But Toranaga needed a reason to make it John's business. He needed it to be personal for John. So I hate to say it, but he used Mariko for that too. When he realized that Mariko and John were connected, and I always wondered, why did Toranaga let that continue? Because he obviously saw that those two were more than just translator and student. But I was like, there's got to be a reason, and it came to fruition. It kept him there for the longest. That loyalty kept him there initially, but he realized, okay, Mariko is going to have to be sacrificed at some point. So how do I keep the engine here after that happens? And how do I make sure that he has got stakes? And that death was, multiple folds, but I was gonna say twofold beneficial to Toranaga. It kept John here. It gave him a reason to fight these people, a very personal reason to make the war his own. But it also just kind of took away all the distractions that John had around going home or dividing his loyalties between Mariko and him. So yeah, again, just so many layers of brilliant strategizing by this man. It's crazy. But yeah, he just laid all of that out for Yabashige and all the things. And like he said, I thought what the part that was crazy is he's like, by the time when John's rebuilt my fleet and he's, built all these boats again and stuff like that, he's like, maybe I'll tell him the truth then. Maybe I'll let him know that this was all part of a plan. But he's like, I'm probably gonna have to burn his ship down again now. My man said straight up, I'm not letting that man go ever because he's useful to me. And he entertains me. I love the fact that he's like, I don't need him. He's like, yeah, he's useful, but do I need him? Nah, he's like, my banner will be fine. I've got a lot of other ways I could get, I've got other plans, obviously. But it's like, he kind of entertains me. He's funny. He's entertaining. I like the way he acts. I like the way he does things. And I said that from episode 2, right? I'm like, there is something about John that I think that Toranaga sees a lot of himself in John in some ways. Like if Toranaga was more brash and emotional, he would be much more like John, I think. And I think that John reminds him of who he might have been maybe 30 years ago. But, he's since learned how to hone that in and become the man he is now. But anyway, so I just really like that he spelled that all out for Yabashige, and Yabashige was kind of like, damn, wow, okay. So yeah, I really like that he laid all of that out for Yabashige, and then Yabashige comes to the realization finally at the end that he's like, so you always wanted to be Shogun, right? Because Toranaga tells him, my goal ultimately is to have Japan under one rulership so there's no more of these wars and we can live in peace and there'll be no more worrying of whose side of anyone's on. That's what I want. And he's like, so you want to be Shogun. All along, that's been your secret heart. And you see Toranaga doesn't answer the question, right? He just leaves it open because is it really his secret heart? Or is it what he thinks is necessary in order to keep peace? Is it what he thinks is necessary to ensure whatever plans he's got outside of what's going on with this war? Could be a little of both, right? And maybe it is. Maybe he does want to be Shogun. We know that he's part of this long line of Shoguns. Who knows what's been passed down to him over the ages, right? So anyway, I just thought that was a really, really great culmination of letting us into Toranaga's mind, but also, Yabashige at least getting, in his final moments, Toranaga was kind enough to let him not die in complete befuddlement, I suppose. But then you see him finally what are your plans? I think he asked, I can't remember what the last question is that he asked about, he's like, can you tell me what your plans are? Something like that. What's your next plans? Can you at least tell me that? And we see Toranaga literally gives him the lines that he gave that Yabashige told Omi back in episode 1. And he's like, why would I tell my plans to a dead man? If Yabashige didn't realize in that moment that spy has been literally everywhere, that Toranaga's got little birds everywhere, I would have been so shook. I would have been so shook. And I do wonder whether or not Yabashige made that association. But anyways, that was brilliant. And then we see Yabashige, I gotta give him props. My man said, okay, time to go, I guess. And he did it real quick. Because all the other ones we saw, there was so much breathing and pretense and stuff. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm kind of glad that he said, let me just get this over with. Because if I try to think about it, I'll lose my nerve. Because he didn't even want to do it. He's like, please just toss me over a cliff. But Toranaga said, you go and do this. You can run from a lot, sir, but you can't run from this. So yeah, he did it. And it was over. And he got to fall off a cliff peacefully. But yeah, Yabashige, cool character, honestly. Like I said, I'm not sad that he died. I think that was inevitable. I think that he deserved it, honestly, for boiling a man alive, if nothing else. And yeah, I mean, he, like I said, very interesting character, very entertaining character. All the kudos. If there's awards for him to get for this, I think he deserves it. He did a really good job, and he was really fun to watch for this whole series. And the fact that he got to last the whole series is pretty awesome too. But yeah, Toranaga needs loyalty. He can't be having these people vacillate, not with what he needs to do. And again, that kind of feeds into what was going on in the village when he was, you know, getting the traitors out of the village. Like, Toranaga's letting them know, in my new world order, there will be no dissension. There will not be people who are going to be bouncing from side to side. I need your loyalty. I need you to be like the spy who said, I am, you know, you can be Christian. He's like, I'm a Christian, but I'm also the vassal of Toranaga. Right? So he, like, that's what Toranaga's saying. Is like, I don't care what you believe. I don't care what religion you serve, but you will answer to me. And if you have a problem with that, head on spikes in front of the village. So yeah, my man Toranaga don't play around. Again, you know why he's been a warlord since he was 12. But yeah, that was Yabashige. Great arc. Yeah, I'm not really that sad to see him go. Only in the sense that, like, he was entertaining, but honestly, his character, I understand why he had to go, and I think he served his purpose. Going on to John. John had a rough time this episode. I mean, waking up after all of that. Again, the flash forward is interesting. Like I said, I feel like that was purely potentially fodder for season 2. Why were we having him have a flashback? How did he get back to England? You know, grandkids, so clearly he lived long enough to have kids. So what's going on? How did he get back? All those questions. But anyway, we see that, yeah, he wakes up after Mariko is dead, and he is obviously devastated. But I really liked, like I said in the episode, that he prayed over her. He knew how important it was for her. He prayed, and like he said, I didn't really think about if it was a Protestant or a Catholic prayer or whatever. I just wanted to give her that peace. And we see that he actually was in a coma for a few days after that. But then when he even missed Mariko's funeral, which I think is super sad. But again, I feel like he just would have been a mess anyway. But anyhow, we see that him leaving Osaka, he goes with Suji. And I really, as I said, I think Suji's overall pretty cool. Like, he's always been fairly civil to John from the get-go. Like, even though they had opposing beliefs, he was always very civil to John. He never really tried to be too insulting to him, even though John definitely dished it. And we see that, you know, walking back, John tells him, like, yeah, I did pray in the end. And I didn't think about the religion stuff. I just wanted her to, you know, and then he basically says to him, do you think it would be enough for what she would have wanted? And Suji's like, don't worry. Like, she already came to me before that. So she was good either way. But, you know, letting him know that I think she would have appreciated it regardless. And then, you know, he's saying, I think she would like the fact too that we're not fighting at the moment. And John was like, yeah, she would actually. I think all she ever would have wanted was for the two of them to get along, because as I said from last episode, we found out how much Suji meant to her. So yeah, I don't think she would have ever stopped being friends with Suji. So John would have had to get over it if she'd survived anyway. But anyhow, you know, here, this is where John's like, well, shouldn't I be ambushed right now? Like, isn't this where Shido would have me taken out? And we hear Suji say, well, you don't have to trust me, but I'm telling you, like, you're going to make it out of Osaka alive, because the men that were with them were actually for one of the Christian lords. I can't remember the name of him, but he's like, yeah, he's like, you're going to make it out of Osaka alive. And then he tells John as he's leaving the harbor that it was Mariko who set up this deal and begged for his life. And that's why he's able to leave Osaka alive. And then we see that John finally gets a chance to kind of mourn on his way to the ship. And it's super sad. Like, I do feel for him because, yeah, he really loved Mariko. And it sucks that the first kind of soft point that he had since coming to this country, that really was kind of his grounding point there, to lose her like that. Yeah, I felt for John in that moment for sure. But anyhow, we see that John gets back and he realizes that the town is being punished over the ship. He sees that the ship is sunk. And he knows that when he hears that the Christians burnt it down, he's like, that was Mariko then, because she traded for my life. But then he sees what's happening to the village, and we hear he has a conversation with Fuji, who lets him know that she's not sticking around anymore because it's going to get pretty hairy in that village, as you know, with the war coming and things like that. But also, if we remember back to episode 2, she wanted to become a nun after everything, and Toranaga promised her 6 months of service, and then she was allowed to go. And so she hadn't changed her mind, and I don't blame her. And, you know, John, bless him, did not want her to leave. And I understand why, because that's, again, one of the last few comforts that he has as far as people who he feels like he can trust and that, you know, have been kind to him. But anyway, when she basically gently reminds him that it's not your call. You know, Toranaga's my lord, and he said I can go, so I'm leaving. But I like that John just came around very quickly and was like, okay, you know what, you're right. And I know you're going to make the best nun if you're going to be a nun. And then I really love that we see that when she's leaving, he says he's going to row her to the ship that's going to take her to, I guess, the convent. And she talks about how she has her family, like their ashes, and she's like struggling because she's like, I know I should bury them, but I also am not ready to let go of having them near me yet. And we know that, as I said, I'm making this assumption, but I'm thinking that when she goes to the convent, she can't bring those with her. And I explained in the episode that I think that in most convents, they don't let you bring any of your worldly possessions in with you because they want you to dedicate everything to God. So she was going to have to leave those urns regardless. But I love that John brought her family and said, like, let's do this ceremony together because we both have something we need to let go of here. We need to like kind of release this, not in the sense of release your memories or your love for them, but release the grief that's keeping us trapped right now. So they go out there, and I love that, like I said, that he held her hands while she dumped the ashes into the sea. And like he said, like, at least this way they're together forever and in the ocean's eternal. So I love the symbolism behind it. And yeah, it was just really beautiful. I'm getting choked up even talking about it again because I just think it's a really beautiful gesture. And it was handled really beautifully. And then John, same thing, when he's trying to let go of Madoko's cross, and he's really struggling with it. And again, of course, Fuji understands very much in that moment. And then she uses Madoko's words back with him, saying that, what was it again? I can't remember the exact line, but it was one of Madoko's words that she said very early on to Fuji. Oh, let your hands be the last thing that holds her, right? And that's what Madako said to her about her son. So love that first full circle. We had so many full circle moments this episode that threw back to the episode 1, and I love that. But anyways, so yeah, he lets go of the cross because we see in the flash forward he's holding a cross. So I thought that was Madoko's cross, but I guess it wasn't. Anyway, so that happens. That was a beautiful end to the whole Fuji storyline, but she's still alive, so we'll see if that actually is the end of it. But if it is, that's fine. Again, I think her arc was always very tertiary, but it was still a beautiful story. And I love that it got a nice wrap up and that she at least gets, I wouldn't call it a happily ever after, but at least she got to do what she wanted to do, right? I love that Toranaga allowed her to have that. But I guess it's because he didn't really see a reason to put her in his plan at this point. But anyways, we see that after that, John decides to go to Toranaga and beg for the village because we see that Fuji tells him after she let him know she was leaving that she felt for the village, because she was like, people are dying, they're under the boot right now, and they've already been through so much. You know, remember, they're still recovering from an earthquake and a landslide and a bunch of other things, and now this. She's like, I'm worried for them. And so John decides to go, and he prepared a beautiful speech to Toranaga and basically said, look, you know, the whole reason this is happening is because Madako was saving my life. It's not fair to make the village pay for this. Please, like let them go. Like, if you want to do something you take it out on me. Like, let the village go. And Toranaga's like, nah. He's like, no, it's fine. He's like, there's still people in here who aren't loyal to me, and I'm finding them, and I have my own plans. Like, they have nothing to do with you. And we see that John really is not letting that happen. Like, he's really trying to do something. Like, he's trying to make sure that there isn't any more needless death. Because we know since episode 2 that John has really just been done with people dying in his mind for needless reasons. And we see that he finally says, all right, well, I'll take my life then. He's like, I'll die, and I will do it in exchange for the village's life. And we see that Toranaga says to him, well, who are you? Like, who are you to give your life for these people, right? And of course, and he's saying it in a bit of a mocking tone, and it's kind of twofold, right? It's one to see, like, who are you in the sense of, why are you doing this for these people that aren't your people? But also, what value do you think your life has over these people, right? Like, or that you think it's equivalent. So I really like that, Toranaga's always asking these types of questions. But anyways, we see that John eventually says, in full Japanese, you go, sir, and says, look, I will take my life right now in protest of this village. Like, that's how down for this cause I am right now. That's how much I care about the people down there that I've lived with and worked with and bled with and sweat with over the past few months. I'm willing to do that. And we see that he's dead ass. Like, Toranaga waits, and we see that, his samurai is like, wait, is he really going to do this? And Toranaga's like, let's see. A lot of people think they can go through a seppuku. Let's see if he really can. And we see that John, he could have pushed harder. He did leave the cloth in the way, so I don't think he was 100% down with doing it, but he did push damn hard. He was gonna try. He definitely was gonna injure himself. And then we see that Toranaga, of course, steps in and he's like, bro, like, stop it. Stop it. He's like, I got things for you to do. You don't get to go yet, but you passed the test. I just need to know that you're down for the cause now. I need to know that you really are going to do what you need to do and help me and help these people and care about these people like they're your people. Because if you're willing to die for them, then that's the kind of loyalty that I need on my team right now. So I don't think John recognized in that moment it was a test, but I knew right away that that was this whole point of all this. So anyway, we see that after that, John is kind of resolved at that point. He's like, all right, we're going to build these ships. That gives me something to do. That's something I can do. It's something that makes me useful. And it also keeps this village from continuing to be persecuted. And we see that Toranaga does keep up his end. He takes all the heads off the spikes, but we see that John starts pulling out the boat. We have an interesting moment with Bintaro showing up and deciding to join the party. And as I said, I'm just glad that they kind of ended the beef because, again, that beef really did kind of center around Mariko anyway. And now that she's no longer in the equation, there's no reason for him to beef with John anymore. So yeah, we see that they're working to get that ship out. They managed to dredge it up from the sea, so they'll be rebuilding that one as soon as they can. And we see that John and Toranaga have this extended look between them. And I almost feel like it's John finally figuring out that, crap, I've been played again, haven't I? I really think it's when he kind of figured out like, oh, okay, yep, I'm back in the game again. I'm somehow back on this chessboard. And Toranaga gives him nothing, but that's there. I love that he just kind of looks back at John like, what? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? And John just kind of smiles at him. He's like, all right, I'll play along, right? Because there's really nothing else John can do at this point, right? He can't go home. He can't go back to Osaka. You know, there's really nothing more for him to do but to at least pour into a cause that will give him, again, some level of meaning. And again, I think he's really picking up on Mariko's words now about life and death both having meaning. So yeah, I thought that was a great way to kind of pause on John's story. He's going to have something to do, something to continue to bond him to this village and this purpose and this war. And again, it leaves a lot of opening for season 2 as far as what happens from that point. Because John does not want to stay in Japan forever. He said that multiple times. Even though he's comfortable here now, even though he has people he cares about, it's not home. And he has people that he cares about back home. So yeah, I'm very interested to find out how he ends up back, in his own bed in England at some point. But either way, I do think it was a great way to wrap up his overall story and his arc for this season. I said it in the episode, I'll say it now. From episode 1 to episode 8, we have 2 completely different Johns, and I really appreciate that. Like, the core of him is still the same: brave, courageous, a little brash, very volatile when necessary. But overall, compared to the ignorance and the lack of kind of empathy and compassion that he had in episode 1, compared to who he was in episode 8, someone who still had a lot of those qualities I just mentioned, but was now able to contain that, someone who was respectful of the culture, understanding of the culture, who was trying to adapt and do his best to integrate and support the culture rather than judging it from afar. Huge growth for him, huge growth. And I like to see it, and it definitely made him far more likable for me, that's for sure. And yeah, I really want to see what happens with him if we do get a season 2, how things go, and if he ever does eventually get to the point where he challenges Toranaga on this giant chess game that he's been playing. But was that pretty much it? I think that was pretty much it for this episode. Outside of, like I said, a little bit of what happened in Osaka, the Regency still being in shambles after what happened. Even though they were saying they were in agreement of the war, it was very clear that the regents were not. At least 2 of them were like, I don't know, like, this doesn't feel right anymore. This feels really wrong. Mariko dying was really not the right move at all. And the only person who looked like he was really behind Ishido was Toranaga's brother. And again, I think he's just that way because obviously he already had beef with Toranaga, but also I think he just figures there's no going back for him now anyway. So yeah, Toranaga, what he needed to get done, got done. Crimson Sky was a success thanks to Mariko. And Ochiba recognized that immediately when she saw that Regency meeting. And I love that. And she just kind of stayed quiet for the most part, outside of just being like, yeah, like Mariko came and did what she needed to do. And I love that moment when she's with her son and she's writing out Mariko's poetry. And I love that that was kind of like her way of honoring Mariko, because we know she didn't want it to end this way. She did not want Mariko, her oldest friend, someone she considered a sister, to die in all of this. But I think she respects it. She respects that Mariko was willing to go to these lengths for something that she believed in. So, and it worked. In the end, now Ochiba is on Team Toranaga. I don't know. I still am holding on to my theory that maybe the heir is his son. I don't know. Call me crazy. But anyway, was that it? Yeah, that was pretty much it, because there wasn't too much of Toranaga outside of all that long scene that he had with Yabashige explaining the entirety of his plans and a little bit of what he kind of was talking about with his spy. So yeah, that man is a genius. As I said, strategic genius. His mind, the way it works, the pieces that he's put in place, the way he looks at the absolute entirety of the chessboard, the long view, the short view, the sides, the contingencies. Like, my brain hurts even beginning to think to that level, but that man is ridiculously smart, and it is fascinating to watch his mind work. I'm sorry, I just remembered when he was finally meeting his youngest son, and his wife was like, yeah, so sorry about your son. And he's like, I've got more. Toranaga! I mean, like I said in the episode, I know he wasn't that close to Nagakado, but damn, sir. Anyway, but yeah, Toranaga is just, he's such a fascinating character to watch. And I saw some people in the comments saying that should we be celebrating Toranaga? Should we be like elevating him? I think too many people are putting him on a pedestal. And I personally don't agree with the fact that, at least for me, I'm not trying to put Toranaga on a pedestal at all. I think you can recognize that certain characters have strengths or things about them that are very admirable without saying that that means that that character is amazing or that what they're doing is right. Those things are not one and the same, right? I've said this about many villains out there. There's most villains or super criminals that exist in our world today are geniuses. Like, they've got brains that work in a way that are absolutely amazing. They just, the choices that they make with that are not good, right? The way they choose to use those gifts are sometimes to hurt people or don't work for the benefit of humanity. But that doesn't take away from the fact that their brains work amazingly. And Toranaga, to me, is a character, like most humans, he's complex. Most of us on this planet, we're not black and white. We're not all good or all bad. We're capable of doing either or. We have moments of doing either or. And there's just different facets to us. And that's Toranaga. Like, he is a brilliant strategist. We can't argue that. Watching how his mind works, the way he predictively sees the way that people are going to act and makes plans around that and contingencies for if those plans don't work out, or if that person doesn't quite work the way that he thought that they would. To do that with human behavior, the amount of insight and observation that takes is, you got to give it the credit it deserves. Like, it's amazing. However, Toranaga is highly flawed and always has been. This man, the value he puts on life, one could say, is very arguable. Do I think that he cares about people? Absolutely. Do I think he loved Madako? Yes. Do I think he loved his son? Yes. Do I think he loved his best friend and, loyal soldier of years, Hiramatsu? Absolutely. I think his grief that he showed about those people was real. However, when you've been a warlord since you were 12, you unfortunately have got to learn how to compartmentalize those types of things in order to keep going and doing what's necessary to win the war. And that's what Toranaga is doing. Do I think that this man's probably rotting inside to some degree? Absolutely. But he's got a war to win. He's got plans. He's got a long-term goal. And he knew that there's no way for him to get there without bloodshed. He knew that there's no way for him to get to that place without sacrificing pawns or people who are even more than pawns, right? In the end, it all comes down to protecting himself. In the end, every move that he makes is to protect himself and his empire and the one he's trying to build. So yeah, I don't agree with it. Morally, lots of questions. Morally, a lot of judgments. However, I don't think that like I said, I don't judge Toranaga's entirety on that. Like, he is very, very outstanding and admirable in some ways, but do I think he's a good guy? No. Do I think he's a hero? No. I think he's a man who has a vision and a mission, and this is the way he's choosing to accomplish it. I do think, however, he's trying to do it with the least amount of unnecessary death and the least amount of casualties and collateral damage as possible, but it's impossible not to have any of it, and he's already accepted that. So yeah, I just think he's a cool character overall to watch. But yeah, for me, if it sounds like I'm trying to glorify him, that's not what I was trying to do. I just admire those particular qualities about him. But yeah, I don't think that he's someone to be followed or someone that anyone should try to exemplify as far as their pattern of behavior. But I do think his strategic mind is something that you could definitely take lessons from, and that it just makes it very fun to watch as a character. But yeah, everyone in this show, I think, has done a great job. Everyone was casted beautifully. No complaints there. Overall, this show is like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. I honestly have let me say 10 out of 10. I only can't think of anything I think was wrong with this outside of the fact that I want more. There you go. There's the 0.5. I could have definitely gone for more, but no, I think this show is absolutely excellent. The cinematography, the writing, the acting, the authenticity that it brought to around Japanese culture and the way that they are as a people, the traditions that they had at that time. I think it gave us insight into kind of some of the things that they do and the thinking that they have and why they do the things that they do, that a lot of other shows that are written by people who are not, or who are handling shows like this, who are not of that culture, I think a lot of times they don't get it right or they miss things. So that's what I love about the fact that Mr. Sonata was actually in there as an EP, really overseeing it and wanting it to be as authentic as possible. That showed like respect for the culture that he comes from, because Japan is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got a lot of beauty and it's got its own uniqueness in its culture. And I think that this show did a great job of showing a side of it and showing some of those things to the world, as well as telling the story. So yeah, I enjoyed this. This was 10 great episodes. Absolutely phenomenal. I do hope we get a season 2. If we do, we're definitely going to be right here reacting to it. Thank you so much to everybody who watched this journey along with me. You guys have been absolutely excellent in the comments. Lots of conversation and viewpoints and notes. And I know some people had some spicy opinions. And for those who expressed those respectfully, I appreciate you a lot. I have no issue whatsoever with people having differing opinions. I try to be respectful on this channel. I'm definitely respectful in my comments to people. I just, hope that most people can do the same. And for those who did, I appreciate you so much. I do hope there's a season 2. I will be watching if there is one. Hopefully you guys will be there with me. Please let me know below what you thought of this episode and overall. Do you think there's going to be a season 2, first of all? And second, your overall thoughts of the season. What did you guys think? Will you be tuning in for next season? If there is any gripes, let me know below. Please, I want to read it. Let's have one last conversation about this show until hopefully we get another one. So yes, again, thank you so much for watching along with me. I enjoyed this a lot. Please show some love to this video if you are feeling it. If this is all that you watch from me, then hopefully you can find something else in my catalog that we can watch together. Otherwise, wishing you all the best. Thank you so much for your time. And for everybody else, I will see you in the next video.